Hey everybody, we're going to read, kind of focus on one story for this week called The Storm. It's in your decodable from last week, and it's going to be in your this week's decodable as well. We're going to focus on the story The Storm, and I'm going to present mode. I did a few different things to help us work on vocabulary. Vocabulary are words that maybe are new to us or we don't know what they mean. So I'm going to put this in present mode. Hopefully it will load soon so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, so as you can see, we have a storm. And let's just look at the picture. What do we know about storms? I see lightning happening here. I see it's really, really dark. This down here is actually the ocean. And this white part here, that's the white caps of the waves. So this is a storm that's happening over the sea. And in the storm, it's going to happen on the Gulf. And we'll be able to figure out what a Gulf is. So it's really important before we read that we look at pictures and see, what could this story be about? It's called The Storm, but this is what a storm looks like. Okay, so then the next thing you do before you read your story is you're going to preview the words. So the words say board, awesome, shoals, twisting, whenever, trawler, coax, oarlocks, listing, gulf, coast, and ponder. So some of these words I realize, they're kind of hard. And this story has to do with being by the ocean. And we live in Wisconsin, so we don't have the ocean by us, and we might not have a lot of background knowledge of what some of these words mean. So I took some pictures to help us. So this word shoals right here, this is a picture of the ocean. And if you can look along the coast here, there's a lot of white parts, and the shoals are the white foamy part of a wave. So if you can picture a wave in the ocean, it's that white part that kind of starts bending over. Those are shoals. The word trawler. Trawler is a small boat for fishing. It's usually about the size of what you see in this picture, and that's usually what a fishing boat looks like. And then the word oarlocks. Oarlocks are the part of the boat that keep the oars. So what you're seeing in this person's hand are the oars or the paddles. And to keep those in place, there's these oarlocks here. So you can't really see it on the boat, but that's what's keeping the paddles or the oars in place. So they're able to row the boat and make it go forward. Over here, the word ponder. He's got his hand on his chin and he's looking up. So he's pondering. It means to think deeply about something. To ponder is to think deeply. And this picture here is a picture of the coastline. It's the part of the land that is right next to the sea. So you can see like there's some ridges, some cliffs, and that is the coastline. When the water comes up to the land, that's the coastline. And then the last picture is of Gulf. Oops, I'm trying to get that to go away. The Gulf is the part of the sea that is surrounded by land. So you can see that the water is surrounded, kind of almost like hugging the water. So it's not open water, but it's still kind of surrounded by land a little bit. Some other words you might not know are this board, B-O-A-R-D, is not like, I'm so bored, I have nothing to do. That's like a piece of wood. That's what the board is meaning. And this word listing we'll get into next because it's not going to be a list like you're writing a list. Okay, the next page is where we preview some phrases in the story. So I'll read the phrases to you. Into the oarlocks. So think about that picture that I just showed you with the paddles and holding the oars or the paddles in place. Coax the boat. Wept for sheer joy. The gulls and the hawks. Dutchman Cove. Listing and moaning. the roaring gulf, twisting in the foam, small fishing trawler, past the shoals, a storm is looming, and into the gulf. So coaxing the boat means that they're trying to paddle that boat over the waves. Coax means to be persistent or to try really hard on something. Can be a gentle coax, or it can be something that you have to be very persistent with. So if you're fighting the waves of a boat, you have to keep pushing and pushing against the waves. So coaxing the boat is trying to get the boat over the waves. Wept for sheer joy. Wept, we had that word before in some of our other stories. Wept means to cry. So crying from joy. The gulls and the hawks, Dutchman Cove, listing and moaning, we'll get to that. The roaring gulf, we'll also get to that one. Twisting in the foam, so waves, and when they really get busy and they're really, really stirred up, they almost get foamy. Small fishing trawler, past the shoals, a storm is looming, and into the gulf. So I had 3 pictures, and I want you to kind of think about what these pictures are telling us about these phrases. So here, this picture is a storm is looming. So I want you to tell me what that means. I want you to think about this picture. Does it mean a storm is going away? A storm is coming in and it's going to be bad, or a storm is happening now? This picture I want you to look at and tell me, the roaring gulf. By looking at this picture, does it mean that the waves in the Gulf are large and dangerous? The waves in the Gulf are calm, or the waves in the Gulf are loud and noisy? And the last one, the boat was listing and moaning. Does it mean that the boat was about to tip over? Does it mean that the boat was floating peacefully, or the boat was in pain and making a list? So look at these pictures and try to figure out what the author was trying to say. So that's something you need to do on that slide. And I'm just going to back up here, back to our words. If you don't know what those words mean in those phrases that I just read, go back to the pictures here and look and see what they mean, like oarlocks right here, trawler, shoals. Go back and look at those pictures and they will really help us. And the other thing that I wanted you to do on these slides is to try writing your own sentence with a new word. I want you to use ponder in a sentence. Well, if you look at the picture, ponder means to think. So can you write your own sentence with the word ponder? And then number 2, trawler. Can you write your own sentence with the word trawler? And then the word gulf, your own sentence with the word gulf. So I want you to write 3 sentences. Each sentence is going to use the word, or 1 sentence for ponder, 1 sentence for trawler, and 1 sentence for gulf. Remember, capital letters and periods are really important. And then once you feel like you know what the words mean and the phrases mean, then you're going to listen to the storm. And I will put an audio button on here so you can hear me read the storm, and then you're going to practice. I also underlined in the story where those vocabulary words showed up: oarlock, shoals, shoal, ponder, moaning, roaring gulf, fishing trawler, storm is looming. So it's really important to go back and look at what those words are and what they mean. Okay, so some work to do on vocabulary and sentence writing, and read your story.